The night, the roaring night, who outstretches its slender arms into the heavens to pierce the earth with its black knife. Their identity has been debated since the fateful Halloween that Deltarune was released. Is the night Des? Are they Carol? Are they Papyrus? Maybe even Rudy? Each and every one of them seems plausible. But are they the right answer? Could there be someone we are forgetting? Perhaps there is. Perhaps the answer isn't so simple. Perhaps the Roaring Knight's identity
will now be disregarded. Because that's not really relevant to this theory. The knight's death. We tricked you. You thought we were going to say Asgore is the knight? Oh, don't be so silly, dear viewer. Sit down for a moment. And if you're already sitting, then good. I'm Don, and I'm joined by Dan, and together we are... Say it. Say it. You have to say it. Hurry.
Danger After Dawn.
Yeah, and this is the Asgore Knight theory, which we have been cooking for at least a week or so.
This video serves as a sequel to our video about the relationship between Eram and Friend. Asgore Knight theory builds off of it, so maybe consider watching it either before or after this one. If you like that video or this one, maybe like and subscribe. Yeah. And hype the video. I don't know what that does, but do it anyway, it's probably good.
Yeah, I'm sure it's good. Anyway, let's get going. Why is Asgore the focus of today's endless wave of senseless speculation from the two of us? Well, it's no secret that the entire fan base's eyes have been on Asgore ever since the release of Deltarune Chapter 4. But before we get to Asgore's actions in that chapter, let's explain the bits and pieces we know of his backstory leading up to that point.
Asgore is just a sad man. Back in the good old days, Asgore was married to Toriel, father to a beautiful son and non-binary human, and even the head of the police force. However, his life changed sometime after the disappearance of Des. Something happened. While Asgore was on the job, something happened.
You skimmed a news article about Undyne. New police chief Undyne's explosive debut. Passionate young rookie becomes the new police chief. Though energetic, it may be hard to live up to the legacy. After Asgore Dreamer was removed from the force, there's no need to read anymore.
We'll get back to what may have happened here. But whatever it was that Asgore did, it was enough to get him removed from the force. Likely by the mayor of hometown, Carol. His obsession with whatever he was pursuing at the time also caused a rift in his marriage with Toriel, causing them to split on pretty awful terms, not unlike Undertale.
That Asgore guy, it's a shame he lost everything after he, Now he has to sell flowers to make ends meet, but... What? He's your father? Sorry. Well, I hope for your sake he quits being so obsessed with that stuff. The back door is blocked. You can only see through the basement window. A corkboard is covered with tons of papers, and documents litter the floor.
Luckily for Asgore, Carol isn't so cruel as to just leave him with nothing. She's been funding his flower shop, but in exchange, he has to clean her house, which he doesn't seem too proud of. And now we're all caught up to the present day, where Asgore is still doing that, but he seems to have an ulterior motive. Let's see what he has to say.
Dum-de-dum. Phew. I wonder if the kitchen has any treats for me. No, not now. I can't afford to take a break. Now more than ever, I need to concentrate. To settle this once and for all. I've got to go look again.
Asgore seems to be somewhat taking advantage of Carol's goodwill. Some people have interpreted this to mean he's straight up working with Carol on her big evil plan, but we don't think so. It seems more likely that Asgore is snooping around Carol's house when he's able to in order to find something, which he does seem to find in Carol's room. A black katana sitting by a corkboard of her own.
We're almost there, aren't we, old friend? This time for sure. Tori will finally see what really happened. That I just wanted to protect everyone. And this time she'll have to believe me. They all will. Then we'll all be a happy family again. Won't we? It sure is beautiful, isn't it? This black shard. The black shard! The black shard! The black shard!
Okay, hold on, relax, breathe. Okay, we're good.
Yeah.
We have a lot to talk
Okay.
about here.
Right. Yeah, right. Okay. So, Asgore clearly has spent every day of his life thinking about the event that got him fired from the Force. I think Asgore's mention of a black shard makes it pretty clear what this is about. The only other mention of a black shard is the one we get from defeating the Roaring Knight in Chapter 3. Susie chips it off of the Knight's sword. So it's very likely that Asgore had a run-in with the Knight and tried to stop it from hurting anyone. But no one saw the actual events except for Asgore's old friend, which I don't know what that means. I'm sorry. I mean, it could be Carol, but I don't know why Carol would be interested in that, or you would call someone an old friend, considering he's actively working with her right now. I don't know. It's weird. But I did see a video that suggested that it could have been Gerson, which I'm gonna put on the screen right now. It's probably right there, which you can go watch whenever you want. Now, I don't know if Gerson died because of the encounter with the Knight, but in the video they kind of argue that Gerson's death is treated as like a sudden thing, like it's something that just happened. Because like he's old in Undertale, but he's alive in Undertale. You know, it's interesting. So, you know, it could be possible maybe he got injured by the Knight or like it shortened his life or something. But, you know, it's possible he just didn't live long enough to see the fruits of Asgore's labor. And, you know, he's still old in the Dark World and all. So he was obviously old at the time. So, you know, I think calling someone an old friend kind of implies that they're dead, right? I mean, would you agree with that? Or do you have a different opinion?
Yeah, I would agree with that, yeah.
Yeah, so, but anyways, let's get back to the actual topic.
Asgore is after the Knights, and he wants to expose the Knights to everyone in hometown in order to fix his reputation and save his old life. The fantastical life he so desperately clings to, where he's happily married to Torio with his 2 children. When will this happen? Probably Chapter 5, where everyone already thinks, so we're not really striking new ground here.
But the reason for this is pretty interesting. Well, other than the whole Noel's house monologuing, that kind of makes it obvious that he's going to be important, but we already talked about that. There's one other detail that tells us something interesting about Chapter 5 and Asgore's role in it. A prophecy panel that reads, "The Flower Man Trapped in Asylum." So, this panel is hiding a lot of secrets. Now, for one thing, even though I normally would be skeptical of file names, Deltarune is absolutely no stranger to hiding secrets in its files. I mean, we have like a whole character who speaks in the game's code. So, and they add new dialogue every chapter. So, this panel is labeled as this, the important part is that it says Boss 3. And there are two other icons in this Boss series, which are Queen, labeled Boss 1, and Tenna, labeled Boss 2. And if you look closely, you'll notice that Asgore has a crown in this picture. This is just like Toriel, who has a crown in the Dark World. So it is implying that in this panel, Asgore is stuck in the Dark World. So this probably means that Asgore is going to be the boss of Chapter 5's Dark World. Which, I don't know, feels a little bit strange. I mean, it feels weird.
Yeah, it's really hard to imagine Asgore willingly fighting against the fun game to the death, even though he did kill children in Undertale. Which, in all fairness to him, he had an actual reason to do, and was actively trying to avoid to the detriment of everyone. His goal seems to be expose the night to stop it, which is like basically what the fun game is trying to do as well, just without getting so many people involved. They could just have a conversation and be on the same page. There's also Gerson's account of what the Lord of the Hammer's 5th chapter is about. A field of pink and gold, charred in an inferno of jealousy. So Asgore would be the jealous one, right? And he's going to burn something like his own store, which he also is making a dark world in. Or he's burning the festival. I don't know, something just feels really off. Like, Asgore absolutely reads as the kind of person to just be a mopey, sad lug. Like the image of the ant carrying a stick, you know the one. As opposed to a furious pyromaniac. So we've got a lot to unpack here. How is any of this going to work out?
Well, luckily, we have a couple of ideas that might paint a much clearer picture on what's really going on here, and what the general plot regarding Asgore might be in Deltarune Chapter 5. First, let's start by analyzing the prophecy panel word by word. It states that the Flower Man will be trapped in Asylum. Those last three words are very, very interesting. Trapped in Asylum. So a lot of people seem to think that Asgore is going to make Chapter 5's Dark World himself to lure people into it or something. But I think the word trapped kinda kills that, in my opinion. It seems to me like Asgore is going to be trapped in a Dark World to prevent him from acting on his plan. The mystery behind why he was trapped and what he was going to do at the festival is going to be the driving force of the Chapter 5 Dark World adventure in Flower King. I think Carol and the Knight by this point will have caught onto the fact that Asgore is overstepping the graciousness Carol has given him, and thus the Knight will trap him in the Dark World to keep the ball rolling. The word asylum is important to this as well. An asylum can refer to an inviolable place of refuge and protection, giving shelter to criminals and debtors, of which Asgore is 100% a debtor. Carol has provided him with asylum in the Flower King. She pays for him to live there. So how fitting is it that as part of her planning, the shop is now being used as a prison to keep him at bay.
Okay, so that's nice and all, but this still doesn't explain how Asgore could be the boss.
I want you to take a look at this image.
Oh. Okay.
So
Yeah.
that's like the Knight, right? Like,
Yeah.
those two look almost exactly like the Roaring Knight on the left and right. And we already got plenty of proof that the Knight is like a mini tie-in. They glitch out when they're hit, like the little babies.
Yeah, I see it, yeah.
So the middle one, right? I mean, it kind of looks like the Chapter 4 Titan, but not really. It doesn't have the wings. The shoulders are wrong. The head shape is a little wrong.
Yeah, sort of, yeah, but not super close.
But like Asgore though, right? Kinda.
Asgore. Yeah.
So Asgore Knight theory. We're finally here. Asgore will be the boss of chapter 5, and he will be that boss because he is going to become a second roaring knight. Time to get crazy.
In order to explain how this could happen to Asgore, we need to speculate on why the Knights is the way they are. Technically, this doesn't really matter that much, it might be totally different, but we want to provide a specific answer. In terms of the story, we think Asgore's Knight transformation will be a vehicle to show the player how Deaths became the Roaring Knights, but needing an expedition dump. By showing us Asgore's downfall into the state as a character, we can apply that same knowledge to Death. Pretty classic parallel storytelling.
The idea we are going to follow here is that the knight is meant to parallel Chris, which is an idea that many people have had. We're not the first. The knight has a self, which is Death, which is just like Chris. The knight and Chris have shared some personal moments in the few times they've been together, such as Chris doing less damage to the knight than other enemies, the knight making Chris kneel instead of knocking them out, and the two of them touching hands at the end of chapter 4. But Chris, as we know, is not alone. They are under our control. And while they are able to display their own personality through their actions, we still control what they do. Similarly, the knight is under the control of someone or something else from the deepest dark. What that is doesn't necessarily matter right now, but the knight paralleling our relationship with Chris would make a lot of sense considering how close Chris and the knight seem to be. And Deltarune is definitely missing a strong, Flowey-like character who perfectly represents the gameplay through an in-universe lens. It's not hard to believe that Des had some huge escapist fantasies considering her rebellious nature, desire to take Noelle to a shining city, and tendency to explore the forest in search of cryptids.
But she went too deep. And now she's a husk, puppeted by darkness. A fairy tale knight playing the big bad villain in service of an unknown goal. How interesting then that we know of another character who has engrossed themselves in a fictional life they can only dream of living. Asgore too is obsessed with something that only exists in his mind. No one in Hometown sugarcoats the fact that he has lost everything, and that there's no hope of him regaining what he has had. And yet he wears that same weary smile and is completely confident in the fact that he can save his long dead marriage if he just keeps chasing what he failed to reach long ago. If going down this obsessive path of darkness lead him to nearly losing himself completely in becoming another knight, who then would possess his body in this transition?
Oh, that rascally rascal Eram. I told you we'd be mentioning him again. This creature from the deepest dark has yet to fully play his hand. It's... What is Eram? We don't have a gender, I guess. It doesn't matter, right? It's hand. It too, like the knight, has many connections to both Titans and the titular Friend. In our video on him, we said Eram is set to return in a major way with his little friendlets ready to Schrodinger everyone's cat. Especially since Eram says it still has work to do. And this is that way. Notice what Gerson says about chapter 5. It is a field of pink and gold. Friend, obviously. But it also involves charring and an inferno. Of course, Asgore has fire magic, but we already said why he can't see him doing so much damage on his own. Eram, however, is also closely associated with fire. So how fitting would it be for Eram to control Asgore and use both of their fire powers in their fullest form? Frankly, I'd be shocked if Eram didn't appear in Chapter 5, considering how many times Friend is referenced with Eram around, and the importance of pink and gold here. There's one more thing that I think makes this theory near perfect.
In Eram's video, we stated that Eram shares a majority of his attack with Ganon from A Link to the Past. A lot of people mistake this fight to be a reference to Nightmare from Link's Awakening, but this just isn't the case. The name is just the same. You know, Eram is mere backward. Eram is only a reference to Nightmare because Nightmare is referencing Ganon. And it doesn't do that for the whole fight anyway. It takes from a bunch of different bosses. Now, while we did say that Eram is referencing Ganon, we've rethought this a little bit, because he clearly does look. But both of his attacks are lifted from Ganon's fire spells and fire keys. So Eram seems to be more specifically a fire keys from this fight. And it's a bat, so yeah, that's obvious. So who is Ganon then? Just take one look at Ganon's weapon in this boss fight. It's a trident.
Oh, what? You don't mean the literal weapon that Asgore uses, do you?
I sure do. What a wacky and weird coincidence, huh? I'm sure it's just a coincidence.
So, with all of that said and done, how will Chapter 5 end? What will be the takeaway? And all I've got to say is the thumbnail says it all. In the heat of battle in the Dark World, Flower King will burn. The Fun King will save Asgore before he is fully transformed, but Asgore's shop will burn to the ground. Suddenly, the festival that everyone has been looking forward to will be put to a halt, as the danger of exploring Dark World is put on full display for everyone to see. Asgore will have gotten the attention he wanted due to Eram's intrusion, alongside a wrench thrown in Carol's careful planning, but at a cost.
This ending will also bring into question Susie's desire to keep adventuring forever. She has already stated she has no interest in letting her happy little escapist fantasy end anytime soon. And that is a bubble that needs to be popped quick. She end up like Asgore in Death. People trapped in an endless loop of fantasy and desire.
And with that, Deltarune Chapter 5 will come to a close, as Hopetown is finally forced to confront the conspiracy hiding in its dark underbelly.
And that's all we've got. We all hope you have enjoyed this deep dive into our crazy, wacky speculation that's probably already been said in some run-off Reddit thread or something.
Yeah, so don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for our coverage of Deltarune Chapter 5 when it finally drops. And if you're interested in Kirby, we've got a whole backlog of Kirby videos, and one on the Amazing Digital Circus may or may not come out both this one before or after. So maybe check it out. And tell us how wrong we are about this theory in the comments. I know we didn't have a lot of super solid evidence, but Deltarune is an evolving story, you know? It's okay.
Yeah, we want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, it's okay to just shoot some stuff in the barrel, you know? I just thought it was an interesting, thematic tie.
We're speculating at the end of the day here.
Yeah. I just thought it was an interesting thematic tie that Asgore is trying to pursue something that isn't he's trying to pursue a fantasy, and Susie is also chasing her fantasies. And I wanted to.
I think it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'd be smart to have Asgore be a vehicle to explain those aspects and why they're bad in a way, right? I think that'd be cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you for watching.